Good afternoon everyone. It is Saturday the 17th of June 2017 down here at Milford Golf Club playing golf with the mothership. Hello Mum. What am I working on today? What did I say?
Fairways and greens in regulation.
Fairways and greens in regulation. That's exactly what I'm working on today. So we've just teed off on the third hole. It's absolutely boiling today. We are leaking sweat. It's a polite way of putting it. Oh, well, I definitely am leaking sweat. It is roasting. I was out at the Guns N' Roses concert in London last night, so it was a bit of a late one, so feeling a little bit fragile today, but so far, swing's feeling good. Course is baked, so the ball's really running on. Using the new tailor-made TP5 ball, which was very kindly sent to me by Your Golf Travel when we booked our holiday to Turkey, so I'll stick a video of that up fairly soon. Not happy with it, but it's down the fairway. Good shot, Mum. Mum's got her rain hat on, even though there is 0% chance of rain. The adoring public will see your rain hat fashion.
I hope not.
So anyway, yeah, using the new TP5 ball. It's just the TP5, not the TP5X, so slightly lower. I think it's supposed to be a little bit softer, a little bit more spinny with the irons and around the greens, but not quite as long. So ideal actually for these really dry baked conditions. USGA greens, Ladies Championship today, so they've been mown very, very tight. We've come out afterwards, so hopefully some good pin positions as well. I'll stick a link down to Milford Golf Club in the description box below. But yeah, so really I'm working on just making a note of my stats, greens in regulations, fairways in regulations, putts for the day, total putts, and also keeping an eye on all of my ups and downs. So level par, teeing off on the third. I've just stuck my tee shot slightly to the right off the fairway, so that's killing the stats a bit, but I'll catch up with you at the end of the round and let you know how I got on. Otherwise, I'm just going to enjoy the day with my mum and the weather, and I'll see you guys later. 37 degrees it's showing in my car on the temperature-ometer. The most important part of this video, or the point of this video really, is to highlight just how important it is to make a note of your stats. You need to really understand them so that you know which parts of your game to work on. Before I go any further, there's one thing that I wanted to say. The one reason, the only reason that I went to see Dan in the first place is to get my iron work and my driver work, my long game, more consistent. Develop a more mechanically repeatable and reliable swing. It's not to make my swing look good, it's not to try and hit the ball further, it is literally to make sure that I'm getting the ball on the fairway in order to get the green in regulation. And that's it. That is the only reason why you should be practicing your long game. In order to do that, we estimate that it needs to be hit 70% out of the sweet spot and 70% of shots along the line that you're aiming on. After that, you just need to work on your chipping and putting. Job done. Scratch golf, under par. Easy, right? As far as my stats are concerned then, I was 5 over par, I hit 11 greens in regulation, and I was on the fringe in regulation for 2 more, so 13 on the green or thereabouts. 4 fairways, 34 putts, 3 times 3 putts, 5 up and downs out of 9, including one awesome sand save from about 30 yards away, with a tap-in putt from about 2 feet, which I was really pleased with. I'm going to talk about my stats a little bit more in a second. One thing that I would say about greens in regulation, and I think some people are going to be quite surprised by this, or maybe they won't. People think that the pro top PGA Tour golfers are hitting sort of 16, 17, 18 greens in regulation. They're not. A stat for you, 2013, Henrik Stenson was the leading greens in regulation player on the PGA Tour. He hit 72% of greens in regulation. That's approximately 12 greens per round. The person ranked 75th on the tour hit about 11 greens per round. Now, I've already told you that I hit 11 greens in regulation, so you know the difference between me and them, and this is the theme that's got, you know, that's running through all of my videos. What's the difference between me and the top golfers in the world? Well, it's their short game, it's their up and downs, it's their long putting, it's their ability to convert that greens in regulation stat into a score. So obviously that highlights that really it's my long putting that's the problem. My chipping around the green and from the fringe, my up and downs, I'm hitting 55, 60%. Yes, I need to be getting closer, but really I think that's more my putting than my chipping. With those 3 putts, I was leaving myself sort of 30 or 40 feet from the hole, and the reason I was doing that, it's not an excuse, trying to protect or maintain this greens and regulation stat. Because the pins were so tucked, I was going for the widest, safest part of the green, and that was leaving me a very long first putt. I didn't 3-putt anything else that didn't start off at 30 or 40 feet. So that quite obviously means that it's my long putting that's the problem. On other holes, when I was getting the ball in regulation onto the green, but leaving myself sort of 8 or 10 feet, I did actually putt some of those in. So, you know, I'm not too worried about my sort of 10 feet and under putting. That's not too bad. It's the long putting that's really, really hurting me. The other thing that I wanted to raise was the fact that I only hit 4 fairways in regulation and lost 2 golf balls. The 2 golf balls that I lost were both off the tee, both with a driver. They weren't terrible drives, but because the fairway was so hard and bouncy, they kicked on into the really long rough that they'd let grow up, and then the ball just disappeared. Now that was my mistake. I should have learnt from the first time, but I didn't. I hit a second one and lost it in the same way. After that, when I was being more cautious off the tee to really protect my fairways in regulation stat, I was taking irons off the tee, and even then the ball was running on into the first cut. I was still getting good opportunities to go for the green, which is why my greens in regulation stat was so good at the end of that round, but the fairways in regulation stat got damaged by the ball just running off into the first cut, and it just doesn't count when that's the case. I think the lesson from that is, if the course is really hard and running on and a bit tight, use an iron off the tee. If it goes into the fairway, perfect. If it just runs off into the fringe, not a big deal, but at least... Sorry, helicopter going over. Hopefully you can still hear me. So obviously 34 putts, that would have been significantly reduced if I hadn't have had 3 times 3 putts, so that would have been 31. I had 2 birdies, which I was very, very pleased with. I drove the green on a 350-yard par 4 onto the fringe, a long chip, left it about 3 feet from the hole, converted it. The other birdie was just a pretty standard birdie on a par 4. Drive into the fairway, iron onto the green to about, I think it was about 6 feet, and then rolled that one in. So I was pleased with that, but it was a bit more standard. I'm just trying to think what else I can tell you. I think that's just about it, really. If I've missed anything out, please leave a question or a comment in the comment section below. Please do give it a thumbs up if any of this was interesting or useful for you, something that you can take away and use or consider in your own game. Knowing your stats is the most important way to know which part of your game you need to practice. Please do subscribe as well. Another stat for you, about 85% of people watching these videos are not subscribing, which is fine, that's your prerogative, of course, but it really, really helps if you like the video at all, or even if you've just watched it and you might be interested in something else that I'm going to release. Just hit the subscribe button down below, it's free to do, and you'll just receive an alert when I release a new video. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much indeed for watching, and I very much look forward to seeing you in one of my next videos. Take care.